Hi, everybody. So I got some good news today. So I got 3 boxes, 44 kilograms of stuff from Taiwan that was still left at my partner's place, and he finally sent it over to me during the Christmas break. So I asked this in a poll on Instagram, which might appear here, and a lot of you thought I should make an unboxing video. So that's what we're gonna do. So as you can see here in my office, we have these 3 boxes here, gloriously standing next to each other. So let's get started. I just opened them. We'll see what we're gonna get. So let's go with box one. First of all, we have Du's Handbook of Classical Chinese Grammar. So I never really actually used this book, but I flipped through it when I got it. I should probably point out all of these books are mine. They were just left there after I left Taiwan in 2020. So after my defense, right? So it's kind of like a rediscovery journey for me as well. I saw great things about this book online. That's why I got it. Fortunately, I already knew classical Chinese when I got it, but still, yeah, it has some interesting stuff. For instance, number 7, tenses. There are no tenses in classical Chinese in the strict definition of variant forms of a verb such as go, gone, went, which indicate the location of an event in absolute time, present, or past. But it does have aspect, which is kind of true, right? Yeah, this brings me to one of the first things we learned in classical Chinese grammar where we had to conjugate a verb. So for instance, I run is 走, you run, 走, I ran, 走, I have run, 走. Sometimes there are particles, but not always. So that's already a fun discovery. Second book we have here, it's a printed out course of cognitive grammar, a basic introduction, Lanker 2008, which has been also annotated by myself, which is why I also super much like it. We had access to this book through the library, I think. Yeah, cognitive grammar is one of those theories of linguistics that you really have to commit to for a while before you really start understanding it. Otherwise, it's just a little bit like mumbo jumbo. But afterwards, it becomes mumbo jumbo with a meaning. Next up, we have a Tolkien book. This is the Tolkien Companion Guide, Chronology. Super interesting stuff. Never read it, but I bought it at a second-hand bookstore. We have a first copy of Dune, of which the second movie is in the cinemas about now. What can I say except for the sleeper has awakened? Next, we have more linguistics. So this is my course notes of linguistics in the Linguistics 101 class. Super fun. Also really well written, I think. Yeah, you get this nice graphs and questions and notes and everything. That exam was really difficult. So it was multiple choice and you had kind of a guessing correction. So what that means is every time you guessed wrong, more points were subtracted than if you just left the question blank, which is kind of preventing people from just gaming the system. Something to take into consideration, right? Next, we have a French book written by a Polish guy, Les formations adverbiales quasi-suffixes en chinois archaïque et dans la langue de l'époque Han. This one, well, I had a brief interest in a few particles ro and this one really goes into that. Maybe I'll pick it up sometime. A conference handbook of ICLC 15. I don't know why I kept this, to be honest. Although it was a very nice conference, but that's kind of when you start going to conferences as a student, they don't really tell you what to do with these kinds of things, all the stuff that you get, this merchandise. I still don't know what I need to do with it right now. so much so that I just was sent this box with it in. Thanks, EJ. So then we have the very first conference I presented at, which was CLDC, the Conference on Language, Discourse, and Cognition. That one is a keeper, also really nice logo. There is a copy of my master thesis of linguistics, which is Idiophones in Middle Chinese, a typological study of the Tang Dynasty corpus, which is a gift that still keeps on giving. We have a copy of my very first thesis in master thesis of sinology, the Guwen Yuntong, classical prose movement during Tang and Song, ideological as well as stylistic renewal. So that one is also really nice. In this one, I use a stylometric analysis to look at the writings of Tang and Song authors who claim they were writing like Confucius and Mencius, to see if that was actually true, like which ones actual writing resembled most of the ancient authors, like thereby completing this idea of like a Guwen Yuntong. The sad thing is, so I used R for that, but I didn't really know R back then, so I didn't really keep scripts or anything. I just, like I wrote it and then it kind of, I had the results, but I didn't really keep the steps in the process. So that has been like a long lesson for me to just like realize that I should just, like keep track of like every step you take, to quote the police. Next book is a copy of my advisor's thesis written in Japanese. So it's Gihongo Gitaigo no Biyu de Hongjang no Chuxiang. As you can see, sometimes I can read in Japanese, but I don't know how to pronounce it, which is very common, I think, for a sinologist. Still, I was able to basically read this thesis. I took 1 year of Japanese in college, which gave me a really solid foundation. And I can talk my way through basic situations, but it's, like it's, when you have to read like I don't know all the onyomi, basically. Then the book that taught me how to read Chinese poetry, called How to Read Chinese Poetry, which gave me a really great grade for the class of Chinese literature that I took with Professor Willy van der Wallen. So more fun things. We have a children's book here. This is the Hongzui Hei Niao de Zhuanqi. So the legend of the bird with the blackbird with the red beak, as you can see here. So this is a Bunun storybook, and it's written by my language consultant Hannah Ivath, and it's just nice because it's written completely in Isbukun Bunun. Of course, I'm gonna read like a small passage to you here. In the exciting part where there's a crab and also kind of shrimp. Tayo pintu hanyan, bunun hai mihti dainyas. Aupa ukain danum tu nahudan, imantu kaupa taking danum tu minihumi sanish, iskan kakusum kakalang hai, namatathin amin. Aupa matubus lukina fachlas, ukintuikita danum isya fachlasja. Munapaf amina iskan, kakusung mapahaugong mas ivud dangnascha. Haitu nirun nimmas. It doesn't roll right off my tongue anymore, but I could kind of still understand some of the grammar there, so that's interesting. We have one of my favorite novels, American Gods, which I bought in the Eslit, so like a Changping store, which is unfortunately now closed, but it was the flagship store of Eslit, this brand of bookstores in Taiwan. This is like a revised edition, I think, which has like more story in it, which is always what we want, right? There is the Ricci Dictionary, Dictionnaire Français de la Langue Chinoise. We had to buy this in our sinology training, but it's actually a pretty good, like modern dictionary of Chinese. It's in French, but so it can be used for classical Chinese as well. So it kind of looks like this. Um, there are like fun things in there. Especially the appendix is kind of nice. We have, of course, my favorite looking up system to look up characters, which is the four corner system. Um, Pinyin, I don't even know her. Um, but there is, of course, the ones with the radicals, right? So like you look for a radical and then you start looking which ones have it. There is something about Taoism in there as well, if I don't remember. We have the dynasties and all the emperors. I don't know, just a nice general dictionary. It was about 30 euros when we bought it here, and then basically the professor said, "Well, you made a really great investment because you'll need it for the next 30 years of your life." So that's the attitude we had here. Next, so most of you, if you know me, I'm a pretty big fan of Avatar: Last Airbender. So not Avatar the Blue People, but like the guy with the arrow on his head, because it's a nice way of doing pop culture that involves both the East and the West. I even wrote a paper about it, so if you want to look that up, yeah, please do. But so one of my source materials was basically these art books. This is Korra, right? And so they kind of have like ideas about like costume design and character design, and they're all just yeah, pretty wonderful. I know Korra is not everybody's cup of tea. Yeah, I find it kind of sad that there's more books of Korra than there is of the one with Avatar, which looks like this. Yeah, seeing this back, like it is really nice. Like here, for instance, is the part about like the different animals that were syncretized. So here you have like turtle duck, for instance, and like part of that paper was also about how the sayings, right? Like all the different like idioms in the Avatar verse also are colored by having this kind of mixed animals. So I think there was a comic book, and then at some point they say we're all turtle ducks, we're all sitting turtle ducks, which is yeah, it's funny for me. Okay, so that was box one. On to box two. Okay, so box two. Let's start off with some light reading. The Fall of Gondolin by Tolkien. Well, you know, like these books are always edited like after his fall. But so there's a whole new series with these illustrations, and like, I mean, kind of looks nice. For instance, here we have the battle between the Balrog and Glorfindel. Yeah, you thought the Balrog only chased Gandalf, I bet, right? Wrong. Oh, more light reading. We have Beowulf. So I don't think I read this, to be honest. I did read this one, Tolkien's Secret Device, Tolkien on Invented Languages, just because the idea of a conlang, constructed language, is just really appealing to me. Yeah, like, but also because most of my work, I guess, I always say my side hustle now is iconicity and sound symbolism. So a lot of that part, like a lot of that work, also revolves around this kind of idea that some sounds are better suited to meeting than others, right? And so that was also part of what Tolkien was getting at. But he kind of like went on this. Well, he tried to make his Elvish languages like kind of like like very gliding, I guess, using lots of liquid kind of sounds in the sense of ancient Greek, so like ML and R, like Malorn, or like there's a really famous poem by him, Namarie, and it kind of starts with something like Namarie, I lasse launter, or something like that. Like, so it's kind of like it sounds like a fairy tale language. Also Finnish. Well, his dwarvish sounds, Hustul, is supposed to sound kind of like earthy, his orcish sound, or even the language of Mordor, are supposed to evoke this like negative qualities, right? It's like Eisneich, Trakadolok, stuff like that. Here we have a sequel, book three, I guess, of The Magicians. I have the first one back at home. Really great series. This ended up very differently than the way it was done in the TV show. Well, TV show was differently, but very different. Yeah, I like both. Then next we have the second book. So the third one came first. This is the second one, The Magician King. Not my exact favorite, but still, there are some good parts in here. I put notes in here, these flags, but I can't really make out directly like what I thought was good about those paragraphs. Next, we have a book by Unger called Ideogram, Chinese Characters and the Myth of Disembodied Meaning. Very good if you think that all Chinese is iconic and stuff like that. Then we have Neil Gaiman's retelling of Norse mythology. I'm gonna be honest, I bought this book for the cover. Like, look how awesome it is. You can see like the Midgard snake. It had that thing. I don't know if it's very clear or not, but like it had that thing with like I don't know what's the word in English, gekertelde bladeren. Like, you know, like every page kind of had like this, wasn't very even. I think you can see it, which I hate. Looks so amateurish to me. Up next, one of the greats, John Hines, Semantics 1 and Semantics 2. Bought them in a second-hand bookstore. Never read them completely, but since I am a semantician, like I do know what's in them, more or less. Let's stick with some more linguistics. Women, Fire, and Dangerous Things. George Lakoff's second well-known work, I guess. Like the first one was Metaphors We Live By, together with Johnson, right? This one is just really good to get some kind of intro to cognitive linguistics. Speaking of cognitive linguistics, we have Foundations of Cognitive Grammar by Ron Lanker. So this is Lanker 1987A and also 87B. These two are kind of like the Bible for cognitive grammar. Like I said before, so we had a 2008 book that he wrote to basically explain these two. Yeah, some of the opinions changed, but like it's very nice to see like overall like how consistent it stayed. Like I still find myself using a lot of those ideas, like the way things, terms like entrenchment or like salience, which is kind of stupid sometimes if people don't have the same background as yourself. Yeah. Next, we have a dictionary, Manchu and Japanese. So I got to do this Manchu class when I was in Taiwan. Here you can see me writing a nice Manchu alphabet. It's a very beautiful script. Yeah. But the weird thing was, so we didn't have to buy the dictionary, but it was kind of like, you know, don't you want to buy a dictionary? Kind of a coercion. So we bought it, and then it turned out to be like this like Manchu Japanese dictionary. So the target or the lexemes are all the Manchu base words, and then you have the Japanese translation there, which it really works. You just read the characters most of the time. There is the meaning and use of idiophones in Cebu, spoken in Ghana, which is the PhD thesis of one of the most influential figures in the field of iconicity, I guess, Mark Lingemans. So I got this dissertation back when I was doing my master thesis, so there was already a copy of my MA thesis, right, with the idiophones in Tang Dynasty. poetic stuff. So back then, my advisor, Jean-Christophe Straten, gave me a copy of this dissertation because he thought it might be useful for you. And lo and behold, I'm friends with Mark. We have worked together. We've published together. So yeah. Sometimes seeds take a while to grow, but like this was definitely a good beginning. Speaking of beginnings, I don't know, like I don't know why these books are sorted this way, but like they all seem to have connections to each other. So there is this book, Outline of Classical Chinese Grammar, and I need to smell it for a while. It's kind of gone, but so like when I was considering what I should study or not, like I went to this open week here at the university in Leuven, and they had a course in classical Chinese grammar. Where they were reading the story of Zhuangzi and Huizi and like the happiness of fish. Can go into that if you want, but it's really fun. I was kind of like blown away by this language. Like you could say so much with just so few words, basically. Um, so that was definitely like something that pulled me toward studying sinology. But so I went to this secondhand bookshop called De Slechte in Antwerp, and I saw this book, and I was like, a sign from the universe, right? Universe, right? So I decided to buy it, but it smells so badly of cigar smoke. That's why I smelled it before. Like it doesn't smell anymore. Kind of sad. Another work that's been important for me has been this dictionary by Kroll. I think it's the first edition, but there's newer editions out there. A Student's Dictionary of Classical and Medieval Chinese. Um, just very good for like yeah, the kind of idiophones that I'm studying. So like a lot of this material, like I tried like using for my database. Should I show this? I guess yes. Like I don't know. It's kind of funny. The Rice Queen Diaries. Oh, this book is so wrong. It's about this like white guy who goes to Thailand and like has a lot of fun there, and all the guys he met along the way. Like look at this. Like we go from other diaries to the diary of Earthsea. So I have this giant like Earthsea book, the Books of Earthsea, the complete illustrated edition. I was kind of well, I have Earthsea Quartet, I think, like at home. But when I saw this, like it had even more. So I was like, I really want to have it, and it was actually the last Christmas gift I got from my grandfather who died, who passed away about half a year later. So you know like how it is. Like I can never really separate from this book, right? Like it's the last thing. Super unwieldy to hold, right? Like you need like a table to read it. So yeah, that's maybe not entirely optimal. Speaking of a Wizard of Earthsea, the first book in there, we have a biography of Doreen Valiente, which so one of my hobbies is like reading about witchcraft, just because I find it super interesting. And she's like, I might actually reread this book. Like, she's kind of like the mother of modern witchcraft, like this counterculture, subculture. Like, yeah. Um, if you, as some people who might be watching this, unlikely, but still, like, you might think of yourself as a witch. Um, then you should also know this name. If not, then like educate yourself. So the modern witchcraft movement basically started with generally with like Gerald Gardner in the 1950s when he became a public witch in the UK. And so like in that coven, Doreen Valiente was the first high priestess of Gerald Gardner's. And then another one is called Patricia Crowther, with this is her book Coven Sense, and it's kind of like nonsense. I don't like her at all. She's I don't know. I wish I had known like what kind of personality she had before I read it. The last witchy figure of this box here is Stuart Farrer, writer on a broomstick. Also a good biography. Stuart Farrer is kind of like the one of the guys who made maybe also like popularized this rich religion. Like, yeah, super fascinating life. He lived until I think in the 90s somewhere. But yeah, and he wrote really well. Like, this box is finished. Let's move on to the next one. And we're back. Box number 3. Okay, so here we go. We have Dobson, Late Archaic Chinese. Holding it upside down. This book is old, but it's just very interesting to see what people around the, was it the 50s? 1945, 1959. 1959, like thought about like what classical Chinese was. So it has like it even has like a some kind of like note to my friend and colleague Shi Jianqing or Shi Jingqing. Yeah, with many thanks for all your hard work, I think, or something. Bill. So that's the. It's very interesting, right? Next we have David Peterson, who is the guy who invented Dothraki and like Na'vi, like the language of the blue people in Avatar. And this is the art of language invention. They did that thing with like what is this kind of like Rome IPA and like cringy to say the least. But again, love conlangs. We have a very cute book next. Was it like Nisei Nitaiko here, which has a CD. For instance, have you ever wanted to know what hara hara is, right? Like, which one is it? This one, hara hara, here, oops, hara hara. And then you have like an example sentence, like super cool. A book when I first went to HKU, before I started working there as a postdoc, they had like this sale in this bookstore, the bookstore that went bankrupt later on. It's like there was no university, there wasn't really like a university campus bookstore. There was like a university press bookstore, but not the campus one where people actually bought books. But so one of the books they had is about Qi Bai Shi, which if you did Chinese at around the same time as I did, you know him for his shrimp. Yeah, I said that correctly. Let's see if I can find a shrimp. Well, maybe you might also know him for his cock. I can't find it. Anyway, I have a Sanskrit manual. Yeah. Not as good as the Sanskrit books I have at home, but let me know if you want me to make more of this kind of like book videos. We have The Eight Immortals by T.C. Lai. We have, oh my God, what is this? Probably something my friend Guillermo gave me. Yeah, it looks like that. Something with, this looks like a Guillermo book to me. Something with how the architecture works of temples. Or maybe it's something I wanted to give him. Guillermo, if you're watching this, you're getting a book. We have Chinese symbolism and art motifs, both in the Museum of Shanghai, I remember. A super rainy day. Yeah, super nice. Like, you know, if you want to know what a crane means or a temple or something, like those kind of books. I also have like stuff like that about like Egyptian art. So like, oh yes, this is amazing. Thank you, CJ, for sending me this. This is the Shi King, and before you think it's a non-binary book, it's actually the Shi King, one of the most, yeah, the oldest, I guess, like odes. It just starts with an idiophone, quan quan, or reconstructed like kron kron, sound of the osprey or like fish, eagle or something like that. We have another witchy book, Witches of America by Alex Marr. One 30-year-old woman's quests of finding I guess witchcraft or meaning in her life. Next, we have the series of Hanzi Shu, which is kind of like a telling of like where different characters come from. I have no idea if it's like completely scientific or not. It kind of feels scientific, but the real magic of this book comes from its cover, where these are all characters related. They have the same semantic component of people, and like how they are somewhat conceptually related to one another. You know, would get a kick out of this, like Dirk Gerards and also Huang Danqin. Like maybe I should give it to her, or like at least show her. Super interesting. So once again, I don't know if this is like real etymology or if it's like kind of folk etymology. I do remember like from reading this one, like they quote the Showan Jiezi quite a lot, which is wrong. But anyway, like, it was such a success that they also did like more books. There's like 5 in total. So these are the other 4. We have objects. This one is about things related to like the heavens and stuff like that, like praying, yeah, see fire, see the elements, those kind of things. We have one that's related body parts, also a salient domain, of course. And then we have one that's related to plants and also animals, I guess. You know how we have Sleeping Beauty? Well, there's also the Sleeping Beautiful Man, Shui Meinan. I think I bought this book just, I guess, for the idea with the cover, but like I haven't read it, so maybe it's trash, maybe it's flash, I don't know. Maybe it's fetch, if we can make that happen. We have another cognitive grammar book. So I don't know if you're still watching this, but or if I told you, but like this is like the Ronald Langer fan club. Here we have concept, image, and symbol. The cognitive basis of grammar. I mean, you know how he like kind of like flips those words around, but this one is interesting because it used to belong to a certain Sandra Thompson from UCSB. So CJ got that book because he's based at UCSB, and like now it's here. We have Radical Construction Grammar by William Croft. Yeah, this book also kind of like, I feel like it revolutionized some part of typology, syntactic typology. In any case, some people like, I don't know if it's still being used these days, but like it should still be part of like someone's education, I find, because like, yeah, you can't just like draw trees, because like if you want to see trees, just go to a park. So my mom always used to say. We have Philosophy in the Flesh by Lakoff and Johnson. Not his best, but still very interesting to see like how far can we push metaphor to our kind of like a physiological basis and stuff like that. We have a book on Taigi, and this is kind of like one of my regrets of being in Taiwan and not really like learning Taiwanese, but you know, like I was just so busy doing my PhD, also learning some Bunan, just I didn't really have time for that. Plus, I find that the situation with Hong Kong is also very different. Like in Hong Kong, people actually use Cantonese all the time. In Taipei, at least, like the main language is Mandarin. So just learning Taiwanese, like you know, like you'll get like the well done, you're a foreigner, you're speaking our local language kind of card, but you already get that when you're speaking Mandarin. This is 1, 2, 3 translation of the history of the former Han, so like the Qian Han Shu. So I forgot if this is like a full translation or not, but so it kind of looks like this. So you have a classical Chinese text and a translation with some notes. It started with the Annals of Emperor Gaozu. I know like all those Gaozu, Wenzu, Taizu, like they're reused and remixed across the dynasties, so it's super confusing. And then also they're not the actual names of the emperors. They're kind of like the what's called the posthumous names. So like they died already, and then they give that name. So like that's how that emperor is known. which really kind of started changing, I think, around the Ming or Qing dynasties. So when you have things like Qianlong, it's emperor, like Emperor Qianlong doesn't exist. It's the Qianlong Emperor, the one who is emperor during the Qianlong period, which just happens to be the Qianlong Emperor, basically. And we have one more book that I got from the Hong Kong bookstore, A Scholar in Imperial China. Never read it, but yeah, I guess I know what I'll be doing. So the book fell. um, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. Let me know if you want me to do some kind of like a book tour or something at home. Talk about books. Is this now a booktube channel? I don't know. Cheerio, pip pip.